Welcome to Herschy and the Keegs Show, starring pitcher Mark Hirschman and his personal catcher, Mike Keegan. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. live from the Governor's Comedy Club radio studio. Thanks so much for listening. Welcome to Herschy and the Keegs Show, starring pitcher Mark Hirschman and his personal catcher, Mike Keegan. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. live from the Governor's Comedy Club radio studio. Thanks so much for listening. Welcome to Herschy and the Keegs Show. Starring pitcher Mark Hirschman and his personal catcher, Mike Keegan. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. live from the Governor's Comedy Club radio studio. Thanks so much for listening.
All right, we are live. It is Tuesday night, 9 p.m. It's the Herschy and the Keegs Show. We are flashing rods and casting pods. We are happy to be back with you guys. Welcome.
What I like about that,
Yes.
we haven't been on the air. It's been a couple of weeks. We had different events that stopped us from doing the show. And it seems like you made a concerted effort to do something cute, witty, and not disgusting.
Yeah, you know what? We should just do the show once a month, and I'll come up with some good stuff.
No, rods and pods. That's felt very like a fishing expedition.
Exactly. It's like we should start a fishing podcast.
We might as well.
Called Rods and Pods.
I feel like you would bring more content to the table.
I think so.
If I said to Mikey, this is going to be a fishing podcast, you would talk about lures and baits
and different species of
and you'd actually have a lot more information to bring to the table than I would.
I'm excited to start this fishing podcast.
What do you think we should call it?
Rods and Pods.
Herschy and the Fish Heads? I think you can do that. I really
like
do.
it. All right, let's do it. All right, next week we are changing formats.
Yes, we are.
But you know why I was all jazzed up today?
Why?
We potentially have a pretty special episode today.
We potentially have a special episode. I feel like it's been a little bit interesting. We've kind of low-keyed it a little bit because we're just, I don't know why. We have a little uncertainty as to whether our guest is going to be here because he's a very busy man. He's a man of the people.
Guy's been everywhere. He just came back from the Super Bowl.
He was in the Super Bowl. Did he play in the Super Bowl?
He did. He was the one that missed that last pass.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we are.
He's the one they put him in instead of Kelsey, remember? And Kelsey got mad and screamed in that old man's face.
We're going to talk about that in a second. But we are scheduled to have on Frank the Tank from Barstool Sports. It almost doesn't feel real.
It's not.
It's like
he's
saying
he's not coming.
It's like saying we're having Elvis on the podcast.
Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't feel natural. But I would say that I'm probably more nervous right now than I've been. Like, what guests?
We could have had Tom Brady booked, and I'd be less apprehensive.
Yeah, I mean, listen. The truth is this: we've been doing this podcast now for a couple of years. We've had some pretty legit guests. There's no question about it.
Absolutely.
Evan. What was his name? Evan Roberts from WFN Radio. We had
Steve Summers from
Steve
FN.
Summers, which is like a boyhood idol of ours.
Chris Monty.
Anthony Recker, Chris Monty. We've had some legit guests, but this one feels different. I don't know why.
Because he ain't coming.
Because I don't know, but
we shall see.
It is what it is, man. I know that our guy Pig Vomit, who helps us find some guests sometimes, this was a surprise to us that he was doing this behind the scenes.
Rich Kleinman surprised us, and in hopefully 45 minutes when it's over, I will be singing his praises. But until then,
Well, I've actually seen Pig Vomit twice in the past couple of weeks, which is we don't see each other that much anymore. We don't work together. But I did tell him today that if this does happen, that he will be getting a chance to make an appearance, maybe even in studio for maybe not a whole episode, but a little something. I mean, he's been on the podcast. He was on. I think he was
called
on
in.
a Zoom. Did we have him on a Zoom once briefly?
I don't know. I don't think he was on a Zoom. I know he called in.
Yeah, called in, but I thought we had him on the screen once. But either way, it doesn't even matter. Frank
called
the
in to
Tank
tell
or
us
not,
how much of a piece of garbage you were for making some guy drive home from a Met game.
That's true. That is true. But
you might notice Mark and I are sitting a little closer
Yeah.
than normal because we'd both like to see Frank.
'Cause we
on the
miss each
screen.
other.
Because it's been a while.
I don't know how you feel about it. And obviously, Tony, our producer, is on the air. He has his own show, Widgets and Fidgets, or whatever it's called.
Yes.
But he, as far as you and I are concerned, I don't know if you realize this, but today is the 13th of February. Thursday is the 15th, and it is our 2-year anniversary. Yeah. So,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
exciting.
That's a pretty big deal.
Look at that.
Thank
Look at
you.
us.
Thank you, Tony.
2 years.
Thank you.
Hey, I do thank you guys, but you know who I thank? The fans.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the man upstairs, like we're supposed to say.
I thank the man upstairs,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes. Larry. No, he's like in the back, actually.
No, yeah,
Not in
Joe
the back.
C's the man upstairs.
Yeah.
No, but I do want to thank the fan, our loyal viewers.
We do have loyal viewers, and we have some not loyal viewers as well.
Yeah.
Who just watch some of the times, but that's not. I guess that's not
Hopefully
loyal.
they're watching today. We got a big time show today.
We do have a big time show going on, and I just want to say though, as I was mentioning Tony's show, Fidgets and Things, whatever it's called.
Killing Me Softly.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't get on we're on every week, but the last couple of weeks you had a gig. I had plans to take Max somewhere. To me, it doesn't feel natural anymore for us not to be together.
I know.
Okay, I want to put that out there. That
Ask
I
Carla.
feel like
Ask Carla how lost I was
Yeah.
last Sunday.
I feel it, and
wow.
I think with no
This is
further
big
ado,
news.
as long as Frank is here, we'll go ahead and pop him up.
I'm ready to go.
We're not one to waste someone's time. So here's the guy that we've been talking about, and we could not be more excited to have the man, the myth, the legend, Frank the Tank Fleming on the air with us. Welcome to the Hershey and Keegs show, Frank. I'm Hershey. This is the Keegs, and this is our producer Tony. How are you tonight?
All right.
Everything going okay? Are you a little jet lagged? You came back from Vegas when?
Yeah, I'm jet lagged. I'm tired, and I'm just nonstop work today.
So
yeah, you went right to work after you worked on Monday after you got back from the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Oof, boy.
Tank, can you
Went to a double game?
do us a favor? You
Home
came back.
today.
You came back, you wanted to have some positivity, and the first thing that you saw was this despicable Met press conference. Could you just tell us your feelings about that little weasel Stearns, what I felt, and I'll use an analogy my buddy said, was like a little kid snickering at the fans, like he did something wrong. What was your feeling about that, watching Stearns on his presser?
Sickening. It's clear that he doesn't want to keep Alonso, and that this team's going to be very bad for the next decade. I think eventually David Stearns will be run out of town on a rail, and the Mets will be starting from scratch in about 5 or 6 years.
I couldn't agree with you more. I was excited when David Stearns came on board, and then yesterday it's like he's lollygagging through the thing and saying, "Oh, the players are excited about the team we have." I'm like, "You haven't done anything."
They're going to lose 100 games this year.
Tank,
Wow.
who would you compare? I mean, listen, you've been around for a very long time. You've been a Met fan for many years. If Alonso leaves, who are you comparing the departure to? For me, I thought of Strawberry. What would you think?
Probably a good comparison.
Yeah.
It's a team without, and it took a decade for them to recover the loss of Strawberry, and it will take another decade for them to recover after this.
If they lose Alonso, I completely agree.
Explain to me, though, so at least you knew when the Wilpons were in charge, you knew to expect not such great things. Why would a guy like Stearns go from a low-market team like Milwaukee, take a position in New York where you're expecting to spend money and then not not spend money. Do you think that it's a function of what he's doing, or do you think this is what Cohen is going ahead and telling him to do?
This is Cohen. Cohen's a con man.
Wow.
So what happened? Was it last year? Was it the money that they were throwing at Scherzer, the money they were throwing at Verlander? What happened?
And, I think that now it's going to be bad for a long time to come.
But they must have a strategy. Is it these new guys, these young guys they traded for?
Yeah, well, these young, let me say, these young guys suck. I've seen Drew Gilbert. He's the smallest baseball player I've ever seen. He has got no power. He's got no speed, and he cannot catch a cold in the outfield.
No.
Then you got Jet Williams, who I think is going to be a total bust. I mean, it's a total disaster what's coming. A total disaster.
So the Drew Gilbert thing you mentioned is interesting because I heard that he was a highly ranked prospect for the Astros, but the Astros don't have a great farm system. So what are we talking about? Maybe we're talking about the best of a bad bunch. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a sham. Would you have rather? I know that you were not the biggest Epi Epler fan. Would you have rather Epler stayed in charge during this?
No, Epler put them on this path.
Yeah, he put the wheels in motion there, and then now that they're suffering.
I just have to believe there's a plan, though, here, Frank. I believe there has to be some sort of a
plan. The Mets never have a plan. They are a disaster, a total disaster. There's no other way to describe it but total disaster. This is going to be the worst team the Mets have had since the 70s.
Wait a second. So you're talking Pat Zachary, Dan Norman, Doug Flynn, Craig Swan. That's what you're talking about right now.
Yes.
Wow. But you know that Vegas has them, and I think over 80, is it 83.5, I believe, is what they're talking.
Yeah, we'll take way under.
Really? Is that the consensus with you and Barstool guys that you talk about? Is it something that you get asked about? What are your feelings about that?
I just think they're going to be. I think they're going to be beyond awful.
100-loss team.
How do you handle it? And it's got to be frustrating. And certainly, I'm a Jet fan for 40-something years, so I understand awful organizations. And not saying that the Mets are one, but you're going from a football season where you obviously saw your Dolphins come to a screeching halt, where you had a lot of anticipation that they were going to do well, and then you transition right into the baseball season. How are you handling that?
It's going to be the worst. I think the Mets are going to have the worst season. They're going to lose 110 games.
Jeez.
110 games, Frank. You're thinking they're going to
52-win season. Yeah.
You expect virtually nothing from them at this point, basically.
Yes.
Wow.
I don't think they want to win. I think they want to be terrible, and they're going to have loud noises. It's going to be like going to a Jet game now.
Yeah.
It's going to be loud and annoying. They're going to have a DJ every game, and there's something called a Spirit Squad to raise the spirits of fans when the Mets fall behind.
So, but just you're a bright guy, obviously. Explain to me the logic. You got a guy like Cohen who's a multi-billionaire. He buys this franchise, lifelong Met fan. Why would he want this to be the case right now? I can't understand the logic.
Because he realized that you can make more money losing than you do winning.
It's the producers. Flop on purpose, and you make more money by losing.
Yeah, he seems to me like he has cared about the team, but now it's almost like
that was all an act.
You believe that. So but at some point you were pro Cohen at some point, I guess, right, Frank?
Yeah, but he fooled the fans.
Wow.
And I won't be fooled.
Yeah. Would you put him? I mean, I'm shocked that you're saying 55 some odd wins. Your level of disgust for him and for the franchise now, where does it sit along your compared to your disgust of Lindsey Ruff?
Lindsey Ruff is just a fucking moron.
Couldn't have said it better myself, sir.
So it's interesting. Lindsey Ruff's a longtime player, obviously longtime coach. You philosophically are not on the same page as Lindsey Ruff, and you do not understand why he's still the coach of that hockey team. Make logic of that.
Last year was all Andrew Burnett. He really turned things around. He was an assistant coach. Now he's not. And the Devils are terrible again.
So make logic. Why is Ruff still behind the bench? Why is he still there?
Because Andrew Burnett helped him save his job last year. If they didn't have a good year last year, he would have been fired. Now he got an extension, and he went back to what he normally does, sucking.
So, Frank, what is your saving grace right now? I know that you become
I have none.
Seton Hall.
They're not making the tournament. They lost to. They got blown up by Villanova. Now they're out of the tournament.
Yeah.
Okay, but I know at some point you transitioned into being a Knicks fan. Are you disgusted by the fact that they've gotten hit with injuries and now they look like they might be falling a few spots?
It's time is a flat circle. Nothing ever changes.
Frank? What's the last championship that you got to root for?
2003 Devils.
Oh God. Okay, so it's been 20 plus years, and it's been a rough 20 plus years for you, obviously.
I mean, it just gets worse every day.
Who do you think? Who's the next one that's going to break it for you?
Nobody.
Oh Jesus, Frank, you're really that sour on these organizations.
The Dolphins keep that Aquafresh Limp Dick logo.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. But up until the NFL season came to an end, or at least the Dolphins, you were thinking the Dolphins were your best shot.
Yep. And now, not.
Yeah. And if the Knicks, okay, let's just hypothetically say that OG Anunoby comes back, Randall comes back, Hartenstein comes back, do they have a shot to make a run, the Knicks?
Maybe. They just got to get healthy. They need the All-Star break badly.
Will you be reinvigorated? Could you be reinvigorated? Is it possible? You see that happening?
I don't know. The NBA is. I've just struggled with the NBA so long.
Yeah. I mean,
the bright side with the Knicks. I mean, they haven't even had the All-Star break yet. They have a whole second half of the season, and we'll see what happens from there.
Frank, tell us a little bit how it felt. And you looked like you were a little boy on Christmas, but when OG Anunoby walked into the stands and reached out to you, like, I know this fucking guy, Frank the Tank, and he's my guy. Like, you had to feel like you were on top of the world.
Yeah, and he hasn't played since.
Oh, man. Are you thinking that you hexed him, Frank?
I don't know what I did.
Oh, man. Were you were you and are you taken off guard in general when a celebrity of that level, player, athlete, whatever the case, when they go ahead and say, "Hey, what's up, Frank?" Do you care? Are you starstruck, or you're beyond that?
I'm almost beyond it now. It's a common occurrence.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that that you got to. I mean, I spent 30 years making phone calls to Mike Francesa. He knows me as Herschy from Valley Stream. I see him in Saratoga. I actually saw him recently when I met Dave Portnoy. And you're just walking. You're doing one of your walking street walks with Francesa the other day, and you look like you were just walking along with your buddy going to school. Like you didn't even. It was nothing.
I mean, it was great. It was awesome. Words can't describe it. The full video will be out Wednesday, so. Watch the video. I think everyone's going to enjoy it.
That's awesome.
He seemed like, and Mike and I were talking about it, he seemed like he thoroughly was enjoying being with you, that he wasn't there for any other reason that he wanted to hang out with Frank the Tank.
I mean, it's totally awesome.
Yeah.
How'd it come about? How did that whole thing come about?
Basically, his son helped. Harrison.
Harrison.
Was a intern with Barstool last year, and has a bright future ahead of him. He's going to be starting college next year. I think he's the next generation.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, so when I was in Saratoga and I spent some time with Mike, I met both of his sons and his daughter, and they're great kids. And I see Harrison has a lot of Twitter content, and he knows his stuff. And who knows, maybe we can have a Mad Dog Prodigy and a Mike Prodigy back on the air, because I don't know about you. If you were you FAN, were you
Sonny Carton and Harrison Francesa?
Were you a Mike and the Mad Dog guy over the years, Frank?
Yes, I was.
You are. Yeah, I would like to have those guys back in the fold a little bit. No question about it. Someone mentioned to me today, and I didn't realize this, but at some point you had a little tussle going back to the Mets with Steve Cohen. Did he block you? Was that accurate?
He has blocked me on Twitter, yes.
Why in the world would someone, I mean, what could you have possibly said to make a multi-billionaire that offended?
That I don't believe in anything he does. I don't buy his bullshit. I'm not a sycophant.
You're not a sycophant. You're a bright guy. You're a passionate guy. You would think that a guy like Steve Cohen would take the opportunity to use a guy like Frank the Tank, who is as diehard of a Met fan as there is, to go ahead and bring more fandom to the organization. Yet he spurned you.
Yep.
Well, Steve Cohen's the kind of guy that gets threatened when you pull the curtain back and see the man behind the curtain, and you exposed him.
Damn right. I don't believe a word he says. I don't believe. I think that he is just. He might even be worse than Wilpon, because I think the Wilpons would have made sure that Pete Alonso got re-signed.
Yeah, we need another Bernie Madoff to take down Steve Cohen.
Actually, Frank makes a good point. If you remember when the Mets traded for Piazza back in the late '90s, they were under a lot of pressure. And Mike and the Mad Dog actually was a big part of that, if you remember. But they went ahead and they coughed up the money, and they weren't expected to. So that's a good point. I don't think that they would have let him go. And listen, there's no guarantee it's going to happen, Frank.
Like when the Mets didn't let the Mets were reduced payroll. Nothing was going right. They were letting everyone go, but they made sure that David Wright played his entire career at the Mets.
Right.
They may not spend money elsewhere. They may shortchange things elsewhere. But they would not let a homegrown player like Pete Alonso leave. And
that's a hell of a point.
David Stearns told everyone he's gone.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really disconcerting, and I know how much you love Wright. I'm going to ask you a tough question. You don't have to answer it, but I'm gonna put you on the spot here. If I told you that I had one golden ticket in my pocket, and you could put one of these two players into the Hall of Fame right now, would you put David Wright in or Keith Hernandez?
Probably Keith.
You would?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Keith Hernandez legitimately is overlooked and is Hall of Famer. He's the 8 positions in baseball. Every position, catcher, second base, shortstop, third base, all 3 outfield positions. Pitcher, the player that has won the most Gold Gloves at each position is in the Hall of Fame, except first base. And the first baseman with the most career Gold Gloves is Keith Hernandez.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you take that, and then you add in the fact that Keith has an MVP with the Cardinals, you won a World Series with the Cardinals.
Almost hit 300 for his career.
That's right.
In fact, if it wasn't for his last 3 seasons, he was at 300. He was like a 302 lifetime hitter, and then he struggled his last 3 years.
Well, if you remember him in an Indians uniform, that was pretty painful for sure.
Yeah.
I think with the 2 World Series, with the MVP, with the fact that him and Carter totally changed the complexion, along with Gooden and Strawberry, I think you're right. Part of me thought you were going to say Wright just because I know how much you love him, but I think you made the right call there for sure. I definitely think you made the right call.
I think we're going to see in the next 5 years is those late 70s Mets revisited.
Really? Pat Zachary time? Nino Espinosa? Yep. Frank Tavares?
Yep.
Wow.
It could be ugly.
Brett Beatty will go down in history as one of the worst players in baseball history.
Frank, wow. We haven't seen enough of him for you to be saying that, Frank.
No, I've seen enough of him. Mark Vientos is terrible. Beatty is terrible. Yep. I think Francisco Alvarez is going to be the next Gary Sanchez. He's gonna have a little bit of power here and there, And other than that, he's gonna bat 120 and lead the league in pass balls.
Exaggerations aside, I agree with you on so much of that, and that's why that David Stearns interview just rubbed me such the wrong way when he's saying, "Oh, the guys in the locker room are excited about the team we have." There's no way.
Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit. You're more negative about Beatty than I thought you'd be, although Viento, I can get it. So hold on a second. If I tell you that Ronnie Mauricio comes back and he's healthy and sound, what's your take on Ronnie Mauricio?
Average player.
Really? You didn't see enough of him a little bit last season in that, that little cup of coffee he had?
No. He is a nice player, but definitely not a player that's going to do anything special.
Okay, that's fair. How nauseated were you today when you saw that Soler went to the Giants for a 3-year contract for not a lot of money?
It just shows you the Mets are cheaper than they've ever been.
Mm-hmm. So they didn't sign Soler. They could have had Turner probably for 1 year around 15 or 16. Why? Again, we know the answer what you're going to say, but why wouldn't they sign Turner? Ex-Met, coming back.
Well,
they made a mistake when they lost him.
They don't want to win.
It just doesn't.
They're other than Senga, their entire pitching staff is going to be among the worst in baseball.
Yeah, with making no moves.
I think you're going to see Sean Manera lose at least 10 games. I think Luis Severino is going to just be lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
You're going to be seeing Jose Buttle making 20 starts, and he's going to be terrible. You're going to see Tyler McGill look more like his brother, and he's going to lose a shit ton of games.
Yep.
I have a feeling that Edwin Diaz will never be fully healthy again. So we'll have that.
And unfortunately, they're probably not even going to be able to make it to Edwin Diaz. The game's over by the third, fourth inning.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of games blown by Andre Scrub.
Oof. So,
I think the Mets are going to have a team batting average in the low 200s, maybe even below 200.
Oh God!
And with the year when we've had the most talented,
I'm going to give you some stat projections.
All right.
I think the Mets are going to have.
Write this down.
I think the Mets are not going to have any one player, and there's not going to be any player on that team that has a higher batting average than 240.
Frank.
Oh my God.
Frank.
I think as a team, Pete Alonso will hit before the All-Star, before he's traded at the deadline, will have 35 homers. The Mets will have no one else that has more than 10.
So Jeff McNeil's not going to 240.
I think Lindor is going to, with no one around the lineup to surround him, he's going to have a terrible year. I think Jeff McNeil is going to bat 220.
Oh, God,
I
Nevin.
think Brett Beatty is going to have more errors than RBIs. I think Starling Marte is going to be even worse than he was last year. Harrison Bader is going to be playing a lot, and he's not going to even hit 180.
Oh, my God.
I think we're going to have...
we're going to revisit this.
We are.
Mark Vientos is not going to hit 10 home runs. He's going to have a batting average under 150. I think as a team, the Mets will bat around 195.
I don't even know if that's possible.
ERA will be over 5. I think they will. Their bullpen will be among the worst in baseball. Their starting staff will be among the worst in baseball, and they will have a team that will have one of the worst fielding percentages in baseball.
What's going to be good, Frank?
Nothing.
Hopefully the hot dogs.
I'll give you another statistical projection. Lindor is going to bat 220 this year and struggle to get 20 home runs.
Will you be going to opening day this year?
Yes.
Yep. I'll tell you one thing, I know it comes from a bitter fan standpoint to say that they just want to lose, but this is the year they've had the most talented free agent pool in a long, long time, and they did nothing. So you know what, Frank? You're right. I mean...
Well, I don't know if he's right. This seems like a lot of low numbers.
Is going to try to press, and will bat under 240.
Jeez. Okay, let's touch on the manager. So, your feelings about Buck leaving and Mendoza coming. What do you think?
I think the game passed Buck Showalter by, and Mendoza sounds like he doesn't even have a competitive bone in his body, saying today that fans who are dying to win are just going to have to be patient. It's not worth dying for, and that things happen, and whatever happens, happens, and he is not that concerned about winning.
So you think the Mets hired another puppet, is what you think?
Oh, this guy is probably more of a puppet than fucking even Joe Biden.
Oh, Jesus. I want to ask you something about Buck Showalter, by the way. Do you think I was obviously as a Yankee fan my whole life? I'm a Buck Showalter guy, but I thought last year he did not do a great job when Alonso and other guys were getting nailed with pitches all the time. Do you think that he would still have the job right now if he retaliated a few times last year? Because it seemed like he just rolled over last year.
I think the new rule changes sapped him, and the continuing instructions from above basically had him to the point where he just didn't care anymore.
Wow.
So you thought he was apathetic. You thought he was done.
Yeah.
And how much of that being done was because of the fact that Epler was telling him, put Vogel back in every single day?
I think that had a lot to do with it.
And why would anybody think that Daniel Vogelback was a guy who should be playing every single day or most of the time?
Epler wanted to show that trade was good, even though he did nothing at the deadline. And Vogelback, I think Vogelback's just like not even trying demeanor, like rubbed off on the rest of the team.
Yeah, and it just became a joke.
I mean, it wasn't even like they gave that much away in the Vogelback deal. I didn't understand the need to keep on ramming him down our throats when there were other young players that could have taken those at bats.
Vogelback should have been released in June.
I hate to laugh, but it's true.
But it's true.
When he stood at the plate with the bases loaded in a one-run game and looked at 3 pitches right down the middle of the plate, that should have been the moment he was cut.
Yep.
You know, to me, it's almost like, let's look back to the glory years. Obviously, for you as a Met fan, you weren't around in 69, but you were in 86. Could you ever imagine Davey Johnson rolling out Daniel Vogelback every single day, or not hitting someone in the back with a pitch after your best player gets nailed, 6 times a week? Frank?
Yep.
No, what I'm saying is, do you think that Davey Johnson would have tolerated the horse shit back in the glory days? Davey Johnson would have tolerated the nonsense that Buck did as far as...
well, Davey Johnson ran a loose ship. Keep that in mind. And the thing was, Keith Hernandez would have kicked somebody's ass. Gary Carter would have kicked somebody's ass.
Absolutely. You don't even have to rely on the pitcher.
That.
Exactly.
That doesn't exist anymore.
Why? Tell me why.
I don't know. Apathy. Everyone's paid well.
Why has the game been so pussified? Explain that to me.
No, the whole society's been pussified, so...
So you think baseball is a trickle-down effect, or professional sports is a trickle-down effect for society?
Yeah.
I just can't imagine him rolling up, say, I don't want to knock Danny Heap, but he wouldn't have been batting every single day. You know what I mean? Someone like that.
Yeah.
What a disgrace.
And then he hooped his garbage.
And I can't imagine an Ojeda or a Sid Fernandez or someone or a Doc not plunking one of the opposing batters when your best player is getting emaciated, knocked down all the time.
No, there would have been definitely retaliation.
Yeah. I totally agree. This is actually not a major thing, but it certainly pissed me off as a New York sports fan. What do you feel about Doc Gooden Day being so early in the season, Frank? Why is it could be snowing out? Couldn't they have waited a little bit to give him that day?
They had to find some way to get fans to the ballpark.
So you think
watch that fucking sorry bunch of losers?
No, you're right.
So I was thinking the same thing. A Sunday in April, cold out, no one's going to see the team. Let's have Doc Day that day.
Yep.
It's just it's a shitty, cunning kind of move. It's a sneaky kind of move, Frank.
That's your boy Steve Cohen.
Damn.
What a shame. Have you ever gotten a chance to meet with Steve Cohen, or do you think you will at some point?
I briefly met with him, and he brushed me off.
Really?
Does he understand that you are the voice of the Met fan? You literally have become the voice of the Met fan. There's not too many people with a bigger following who can put out video content.
Yeah, but no, he wants to have cushy interviews where people adore him and call him Uncle Stevie, even though he is just not done anything right. If he should have cleaned house on day one, he didn't, and so the minor leagues still have the same shitty people running it, same shitty player development. You know, the Mets have had the fewest amount of players drafted go to the majors over the last 20 years. And it's not even close. They have like only 9% of the players that they have drafted have made the majors.
Yep. And Steve Cohen wants the Jim Brewers. Let's go, boys. This is our year. That's who he wants, you know?
Yeah, well, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? So it's funny. He blocked you, and I'll tell you, about 2 years ago, I had tweeted at him that he was asleep at the wheel, and I went to sleep that night, and I woke up, and I had about 65,000 notifications on Twitter. Do you know that Steve Cohen tweeted back to me saying, "What happened? I was napping," like he was being a smartass. Can you imagine George Steinbrenner or an owner of some sort of credibility tweeting back at a fan like that? Can you imagine, Frank?
Well, that's because there is no substance. It's all style. It's all hype. It's all smoke and mirrors. That's all Steve Cohen is. A con man. And I'm not going to buy the con. I see a shit team. I see a shit future, and I see a farm system that can't develop shit. I see players that are drafted. I see them letting their 1-star go and just total despair and trash for at least the next 10 years.
So how does that or will that change your fandom? Does it ever change your fandom? Because I know for me,
I'm just tired. It's just depressing. I've never gone into a season with less hope and more dread.
But it won't change the games that you watch. It won't change the number of games you go to.
Not even in years have I had this much dread.
But you'll still show up.
Yeah.
Because you love your teams.
Yep. No.
Well, listen,
sucker. You're a loyal.
You don't want to be a bandwagon guy. That's not who you are. That's not your personality. So you stick with it, and who knows? Maybe you'll be surprised. Maybe this team starts out and they're 500 or a few games over at the break, and then they go ahead and they make some big moves. Maybe that's what the plan is, Frank.
Nope. They're going to trade Pete Alonso at the deadline. They're going to get nothing for him. We're going to watch Drew Gilbert. He'll be up at one point. Jet Williams might even come up at some point. Acuna's brother is going to be terrible. All these guys are going to be terrible. Mike Vassell, he can't even break a glass with his fucking fastball. I mean, he sucks. They have no pitching in the minors. They have nothing. Jose Butto, we're going to be watching Jose Butto 20 games, and he's fucking ass.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, though, Frank, how much of this is just and you deserve to be negative. There's no question about it, because it's been a shit offseason and a bad run for the Mets the past couple of years.
You realize since 2009, the Mets have only had 4 winning seasons.
No, I know that, and they made it to the series in the 15.
Major League Baseball, that's probably the fewest of any of the dirty teams.
Yeah. I understand, but you have to think that between Gilbert and Acuna, there's got to be someone out. There's got to be a blue chip somewhere there. You don't think so?
There are no blue chips. There's only Buffalo chips.
You're convinced of that. You're convinced of that just because you've obviously seen them play. You know their statistics. You don't think they're on a trajectory to do well.
No, I see more Brett Beatty's.
I can't. I'm almost surprised that you're so down on Beatty. I mean, I know that before he got hurt at the end of last year, he tailed off. But
Brett Beatty is awful. There's nothing good about Brett Beatty.
Nothing.
He's terrified to play. He is a terrible glove. He has no clutch. His terrible bat doesn't have any real power. He is pathetic. He is putrid, and he is the worst player in baseball.
Oh, Jesus Christ Almighty! All right, Frankie, let's go ahead. I'm going to challenge your 240 thing. Can we at least say that Brandon Nimmo is going to get higher than 240?
Nope.
All right.
But explain to me why. Don't just throw out a phantom statement like that. A guy who normally does. Tell me why.
I think some of the better players are going to get to the point where they start pressing because no one else is doing anything.
Okay. So you think that the lineup's gonna be a trickle down effect where they're gonna stink and then they're gonna try to do more than they can. They're gonna change their swings. They're not gonna be the same player.
Yep.
So there's nothing. You'll be opening day. You'll be there. You'll be there in your blue Met jacket with the orange script. You will not be excited at all.
I have no hope for this year.
Will you be excited to see the fans that see you? Hey, Tank, what's going on, Tank? We love you, buddy. Well,
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There's got to be something for you. Nice. I mean, obviously, there's got to be some sort of hope down the road because as a fan, you have to have hope. You're not going to stop watching.
There is no hope. Hope is dead.
Hope is, wow.
I have no hope.
Wow. Wow. I think something that we should talk about from a positive standpoint, though, I had probably 50 people text me about this when Frank was coming on, and you and I talked about it. You have been an inspiration to a lot of your fans, Frank, with your weight loss challenge. You've been doing great. You look great, and we're rooting for you. We love you. We're big fans of yours, and we hope you keep on doing it.
Yeah,
I'm very down on the Mets. I just don't see. I don't see them making any chance at making playoffs or even being in contention for a playoff spot in the next 10 years.
10 years is a long time,
long
Frank.
time.
I think they're going to average 100 losses a year over the next 10 years.
Oh, my God, no. Frank, even the 70s Mets didn't have that kind of terrible.
Yeah, this is going to make the 70s look like a picnic.
Yeah. Okay, so you think the days of Hendu and Joel Youngblood and Nino Espinosa, those were the glory days?
Yep, Richie Hebner.
Yeah.
Elliot Maddox.
Lee Mazzilli.
Is this just possible that you're just in a? Are you in a little bit of a funk? You've had a long couple of days. You're tired. I mean, is it possible that maybe you'll snap out of this and you'll get a little bit more enthusiastic, Frank?
No, I don't see any way.
Wow.
It's going to be. In fact, I predict by the end of April, the Mets will be more than 10 games below 500.
I don't even know if that's mathematically.
No, it is. But yeah, touching on what Mark said with the positive stuff, we're all rooting for you.
By the end of May, by Memorial Day, there'll be 20 games under.
Oh my God! Wow,
Frank, I don't even know when the last time that even happened to an organization.
And my prediction is around after the trade deadline, the Mets will not win 10 more games over the last 2 months of the season.
Frank, that's not even reasonable.
Lose 115. I predict the Mets' final season record this year is going to be 47-115.
Well, if you don't expect too much of them, you can't be too disappointed. You know, if you're setting the bar pretty low.
No, Frank went from 100 to 110 to 115. Which
they might not win a game this year.
I don't even think 115 is how many losses they had in their inaugural season in 1962.
No, they lost 120 that year.
But did they play 160 back then? They did. They were 40 and 120.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying that the depths of despair will not reach as far as 62, but close.
And I predict in each of the next 3 years, the Mets will top 110 losses.
Frank,
well, it's not 120, so that's.
Listen, I've been a fan of yours for a bit now, but I don't know you well enough to know. Is this a tactic that you use to psychologically get yourself into a place that you're not disappointed?
They're going to start doing what the Jets do: loud noises and music to distract from how bad they are.
Where did you get this intel from? Who told you this?
They put out an email. Hiring people to do this.
Oh, so it's a real thing that they're hiring noisemakers and crowd rebel rousers.
Wow.
I think it's safe to say that.
Pay?
Well, I think it's safe to say that Frank Fleming will not be part of the Spirit Squad. Is that true, Frank?
I'm not going to be part of the Spirit Squad. I applied and I was laughed at.
Really?
I mean, can you imagine? What would your resume be? It would be pretty. I mean, you're not exactly very enthusiastic about your organization right now.
Oh, I get what I see.
Listen, I hope it turns around for you and for the Mets, and certainly as a Knick fan since Ernie Grunfeld days, I would love that I see you at the Garden one day, and there's playoffs on the horizon. It's not impossible, Frank. So let's keep our hopes up about the Knicks, the Dolphins. I don't know. I mean, that was a pretty big pill to swallow this year. I thought they were doing pretty good there.
That meteoric rise came to a screeching halt, and with that division too, you got Buffalo there, and
it's rough, but let's keep some hope alive for Frank that the Knicks.
Hope is dead.
Everything's dead.
Nothing.
Dead.
How was the Super Bowl? Did you have fun?
Well, I didn't. I came home to before the Super Bowl. Went to Stu, but I'm feeling it today.
Stu fine. Oh yeah, I saw you with Stu.
Feeling it today.
Stu lives right. He lives right here by us. We're in Levittown. Is where our studio is. Where we do our show at a Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, and Stu lives, I believe, in Farmingdale.
Yeah.
So did you go out to his house in Long Island?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we're right by here. Well, if you're ever out in the area again, you want to come by, and Mike and I are stand-up comics. We perform here on Long Island. You're welcome to come by and visit with us. We'd love to have you in studio. And listen, man, we know you've had a busy few days. We super appreciate you being here today. You were a great guest, and we will say hello if we see you at the Met games or the Ranger games, or not the Ranger games, or the Knick games, I should say. And hopefully your teams don't do as bad as you think they're going to do.
Exactly. And on a personal note, you look great. I'm proud of the weight loss. I just recently lost 100 pounds myself, so you're an inspiration to me.
Thanks.
And hopefully I'll catch you on a walk one day. We'll take a little walk together. That's what I've been doing. You inspired me to start walking again, and
yeah. I love it. Well, you're doing great. Frank, you're doing great. And, again, we appreciate you. We'll send you the tape of the show later on. And thanks again, and hopefully we'll see you again soon, okay?
All right, talk to you later.
All
thank
right,
you
bye
for your
now,
time,
buddy.
Frank. Appreciate it.
See you, pal.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much, buddy.
You got him off?
No.
You're leaving him on? He was great. Frank was
That
terrific.
was awesome. That was a thrill for us.
Yeah, it was terrific. He was super. That was really what an
Super
honor
nice
it was.
guy.
And definitely an interesting cat.
Interesting.
And
I got some text messages from my friends. I'm like, oh my god, this guy's a Met fan.
dude, I have to say that that was interesting. Listen, the truth is I know Frank from his videos, but I've never really philosophically did a deep dive into what he really, I mean, I've never seen the negativity out of a fan like that.
I know that was like you said. I think it is kind of a tactic to just not be so disappointed in what's projected to be a pretty abysmal season.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to lose 110 games, but but we'll see. And I don't see them losing Pete Alonso at the deadline.
So it's interesting though. So I mean, I don't know how old Frank is. I'm guessing he's in his 40s or 50s.
46, I think.
Yeah,
maybe?
so I figured he's in his mid 40s, late 40s, whatever. He's not really. From the teams that he roots for, Dolphins have never won.
Yeah.
Mets have won once when he was in his teens or was it be 20s, I guess, or something like that. He was a Nets fan who became a Knicks fan. Yeah. So the Knicks have not won since 1970s or 2 or 3, whatever it is.
The Devils
and fan. So I don't know. My hunch is most people that I know who are diehard football and baseball fans, hockey is the last sport.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we have a very similar thing where you love the Bills, I love the Jets, we both love the Yankees. And for me, the Knicks come third. I love the Knicks.
Yeah.
And the Islanders, especially in recent years, come fourth.
Yeah, and I'm the other way around though. Like I enjoy. Right now I'm enjoying watching the Knicks, or up until just very recently. Yeah. But the Islanders are my third.
But I'm saying baseball and football are 1, 2.
Baseball and football are my 1 and 2.
So
absolutely. 100%.
My point being, he's saying that his team won the championship in 2003 for the Devils. I don't think that he had that same passion. Like when the Mets won in '86, I remember. The people that I was close friends with that were Mets fans were euphoric, an insane amount of euphoria. I remember, I mean, I was a Yankee fan, I still am, but I was excited about it.
Yankees won in '96. So I cut school that day to go to the ticker
I was at
tape
the parade.
I
was
to the
there.
Parade.
Yeah,
I'm not taking off work to go to the Islanders parade. I love the Islanders. But I'm not going to get the adulation. All right.
Why did you stop? You were doing great.
I don't know. I kind of second guessed myself. I wouldn't get the adulation. We can cut that out in post.
No, that was terrific.
No, but that I would get if the Yankees won or the Bills won.
Yeah,
mostly the Yankees.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you kind of have to feel for this guy a little bit.
Yeah. He's a funny guy. You know, I was watching a video of him. I meant to bring it up but he was focused on the Mets. But he was. And when he was in college, he did a video of him interviewing Chan Ho Park.
Wait. When Frank was in college?
When he was in college, he majored in like communications.
Oh, he went to Montclair State in Jersey. Yeah.
And the funniest thing though, the interview was him interviewing Chan Ho Park, but it wasn't Chan Ho Park. He just had some Asian guy fill in.
Did he know that?
He knew it.
Oh,
yeah,
he
knew it. But I'm like, that's the coolest thing I ever saw.
Shit.
Yeah. Because they're like, that's a big get, especially at that time when he was in college to get Chan Ho Park.
Chan Ho Park was the craze, yeah.
And it wasn't Chan Ho Park, it was a skinny Asian guy.
English speaking or no?
English speaking, yeah.
Oh, okay. Which I'm not sure if Chan Ho Park actually was.
I don't even think Chan. I don't know. I don't
remember
that. But
that's
that
phenomenal.
was a funny thing. I meant to bring it up, but he was very focused on the Mets. But that was cool though. I love Frank.
That was cool. He was definitely tired. There's no question about it.
And I'll be the first to say thank you, Rich Kleinman, Pig Vomit, for making that happen.
So cool. Now, I think I was saying before the show that
he was very tired. Tony had to wake him up, I think, right? Mark.
I did, yeah. Right. Frank? But you know what? He was definitely jet lagged. It's been a crazy few days.
Yeah.
And can you imagine how many things this guy has going on? And I imagine, I don't know what he did before Barstool, but
he was a court clerk.
That's right. He did work for the courts. I imagine you go from being a court clerk, going to work every day with your ham sandwich, and the next thing you know, you're flying with Dave Portnoy to Vegas.
You're on a private jet with Dave Portnoy.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm sure that his life is a lot different than
Plus,
that.
like he said, he came home, went to a Devils game, from Vegas, worked there, has worked in the morning every day at Barstool. Like the guy has a lot going on. And like you said, now the guy can't walk up and down the street without people swarming him.
That's right.
Like us, we get that.
Yeah, same type of thing.
My uncle's like,
John Bianco?
Yeah, he said I loved the part when Frank fell asleep for a second. My friend Frank Licano said, can't wait till next time you have Frank on, a great motivational speaker.
Yeah. But you know what though? I appreciate the fact that he did not change his personality at all for us.
He did not.
That's who he is. Yeah, no. Now, obviously, I know a lot of people were texting us, get him to curse and scream and rip their glasses off. He wasn't going to do that.
But I've seen him on podcasts where they try to edge him on to have one of his, I didn't want to do that.
This is not a gimmick show.
No, exactly.
We're not doing gimmicks here.
No, I want to talk sports with the guy. And
and we got Frank. We got real deal Frank. He understood that we were both professional podcasters who have a knowledge of sports, and we got it out of him.
Following,
we may have made him doze at one point, but I do have a very melodic voice, and that could have been it. I was afraid that I lost him, and that would have been rough. But
no, he came right back once we got. Yeah,
he came too.
Wow,
that was it. Yeah,
that's it.
But I don't know. I thought that was pretty awesome. I thought he was awesome.
Very awesome. That's actually one of my favorite shows. That was.
Oh no, I love that. I totally loved it. And
I watch him literally every day.
Yeah. So now we will make sure that we will post this. Mikey will spend the next couple of days cutting it up, putting out some.
I'll clip it up. I'll put it. I'll tag all on my FAN sites, on my Barstool sites.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah,
really good. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I really did.
I hope Frank enjoyed it. He's a good guy.
I think he did. Yeah. I really do feel that when these people who are celebrities, and Frank's a celebrity, when they come on a show like this, they don't. He literally has zero knowledge of Herschy and the Keegs.
Yeah. Well, maybe he does.
Yeah, my hunch is he doesn't.
You don't think he watches every week?
And we actually discussed this, and I don't know. We can talk about this. Mike and I performed stand up together last
Thursday, Sunday.
Just this
This
weekend?
past,
Or the last?
not this Sunday, the
Yeah.
Sunday before, yeah. Right here at Governor's Comedy Club.
We were on a packed house show. We both had very happy to say we had both had great sets. And one of the reasons why we made sure that we both performed is that we had very special guests in the audience. Yeah. For those of you who remember when we interviewed the Drawings by Trent family, the Landreth family, going back a few months ago, we actually had Trent's sister Tristan and her husband Easton here. They flew in from Kansas City.
Just to see us.
And they were here in Brooklyn visiting friends, and they came out to the show. And one of the things that they spent a good hour and a half with us after the show.
Yeah, that was really cool. Like
Yeah.
I felt like I was taking up their time, but they were.
We
talking to us.
were both very wound up. We were wound up like tops, no question
We had
about
great
it.
sets.
But we both had very good sets. Thank
It's
you.
not
Yeah,
sex.
that was after in the parking lot. But one of the things that we did discuss with them, with Tristan, who was on the live with us for a half hour at least, was we asked them, like, what were you guys expecting out of us? Because they had no conception of who Herschy and the Keegs were, and she said they definitely were a little bit, I don't want to say gun shy, but maybe. And obviously, once we got into a groove, they were fine. So it's the same thing with Frank. Like, you don't know what he's walking into.
You know, you're walking into an interview with two prolific comedians who are known for
Correct.
busting chops.
Chop
That's not what
busting.
we do.
Yeah,
We have serious sides.
But so you got to give people a little bit of a slack when they're going on to a totally. That's right. Are we going to be pulling hijinks and making fun and doing things like that?
We can be wacky sometimes.
Yeah.
Usually just when it's us, though. But when you
Just
come on
us.
here,
Yeah.
you expect a professional, respectful interview.
And they got that. And what they got for 90 minutes after the show the other night was me and Mikey basically holding court. So it was me, Mikey, it was Tristan and her husband Easton, and their friends, the Suarezes.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it was a lot of fun. But Mike and I were definitely like, we wanted to make sure that we impressed them the whole night. We made sure we got them comp tickets and, the whole thing. Yeah. But it was funny. There were a couple of things that I did want to talk about, though. At one point, someone behind me at the bar, I think she was a little bit inebriated, and she knocked the glass on the ground.
Yes,
and, I went to go pick it up, and you at some point you could hear the crunching of the broken glass on my underneath my sneaker.
Yeah,
and everyone's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Now, meanwhile, there's literally glass like poking through the bottom of my shoe, and of course I made sure to say, "Oh no, that's not. No, I don't feel that." Well, I felt every goddamn bit of it. Okay, I felt every goddamn bit of it. I went home
I could
with
see it in your face when.
Oh no, I was killed.
Yeah.
I had lockjaw, tetanus, everything that you can possibly gangrene from it.
Exactly. Plus, with your hypochondria.
Oh, I was so petrified that I was gonna need some tetanus shots.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. I was just like, no, let's just keep on talking about.
Everything's fine.
Right, fine. Everything's fine. We're good. So there was that, and then there was I don't know, and this certainly, and I'm going to make sure they listen to this, but and this is definitely not. It wasn't like you trying to bullshit them or anything, but anytime that there was any mention of any comic that Mikey knew, like of a famous level, he's like, "Oh my God, I'm very good friends with them." and at one point, they were talking about Shane Gillis. Now, Mike did come up with Shane Gillis, did start doing open mics with them and stuff like that. Yep. But at one point, Mike's like, "Oh my God, I'm super good friends with Shane Gillis." And I'm like, "How come
I'll get him on the phone right now?"
I'm like, "How come this motherfucker's not on our show yet?" Then, okay, you and your good friend Shane Gillis.
Because I was waiting until right after he hosts SNL to.
That's exactly right. But
he's been in here. He's been in this room, and he's a big MMA guy.
Yes.
Just so you
well,
so when you do your research, when you get
Mikey legitimately started doing mics with them. So I don't think it's. Listen, we're at a point now that Shane Gillis might be the #1 hot comic in the entire country.
Now he's the spokesman for Bud Light.
Yeah, and, so we probably had a window at some point.
We did,
but as typical Mike disappointing me, he just didn't go for it, and we'll never get Shane Gillis ever again. So if it wasn't for me and then also Pig Vomit hustling, we wouldn't have these levels.
I'll get Shane Gillis.
That would be. I'll get Shano.
All right.
Don't worry. I'll get Shaney Waney.
I'll get Gilly.
I'll get the Gilster. I'll get SG on this show. Don't you worry about it. But that night was super special. That
Yes.
really was a super special night for sure. So
he'll probably want to promote his Radio City show on our show.
I would think, why not?
To sell some
I would
tickets,
think, why
so,
right
yeah.
not. Well, here's the deal, Michael. If things are done correctly in the next couple of days with the content that we have from Frank the Tank, we're going to start getting people calling us.
If he shares it for us and whatever,
We're going to start getting people calling us. We're not going to be calling them.
Yeah, we're going to have Gilly's manager call us and be like,
Well, don't you think that at some point there's a switch, like a podcast is trying to get guests, or a TV show, like I'm sure Letterman, when he started out in 1980 something, was looking to get guests, and then eventually,
well, watch the old Conan O'Brien episodes when they had
my God.
C and D list celebrities on.
So not only that, if you remember, I'm glad you brought that up, but when Conan started, he was not a performer. He was not a stand-up comic. He was a writer. And I remember my cousin and I used to get baked, and we would watch Conan. This was probably like 91, 92, I guess, something like that. He was so uncomfortable and nervous, and you could see that he was like pasty-lipped.
Yeah, because he wrote for SNL, but it wasn't even on it, and didn't have any...
How they gave him that show, and then he turned out to be fantastic at the job.
Yeah.
But point being, we're going to start getting people that want to...
Probably next week they're going to start.
You know what? Pig Vomit is there. I'll give you guys his phone number. You want to reach out to PV? Yeah. Go ahead and do it. He'll take phone calls.
He's the booking manager for our show.
He doesn't need to just make calls. He can also take calls.
He's our Gary Delabate.
That's right. Fa-fa-flo hi. It's the same type of thing. Yeah, exactly. Same type of thing.
Klein, man.
So I think there's going to be people that are watching this episode that have never seen the show before. Yeah. So can you go ahead and just tell them all that things, hit and punch and all that?
Oh, yeah. So smash the subscribe button.
Yeah, thank you.
We have our YouTube channel. You subscribe to it, and it notifies you whenever a new episode comes on. We put a lot of little shorts up. You could watch them. They're little bits and pieces of the show, some of the best stuff that we have. Our Instagram, just follow us on Instagram and just share it. You know, it's great that you guys subscribe, but also share it. Because if you have 1,000 followers on your Facebook page and 10 of them follow, and we get 100 of those people, we get 10,000 followers in one day. Look at that,
Right,
and
exactly.
that's what we need. So we need you guys to just share our stuff and like and subscribe and smash it and pass it.
We're going to have, we've been getting a lot of feedback from the Instagrams we've been putting out and the TikToks. Yeah. So we're going to make sure there's a lot of them out there from this show.
Yeah, we're consistently putting up like 2 new videos a day.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Follow those and it's funny stuff. We're gonna start doing some live stuff. We got to put some lives out.
We do have a couple of good ideas.
Yeah, we have a couple of sketches we're gonna do, and we got big things up on the horizon.
So we appreciate you guys watching today. Thank you for our regular fans. Thank you for our new ones. Before we go, Mike, I want to thank Tony, our producer, who did a great job on the board today.
Anthony, thank you
making
very much,
sure
sir.
that Frank the Tank came in and did what he had to do. So thank you, Anthony.
Yeah.
And before we go, let's talk a little bit about what you have coming up. And Tony, I'm sure you have the Murder Mystery Tour also coming up too.
Sure, I have a couple of shows. One thing I do want to mention is it's an organization called Think Happy. It's their third annual night for families. It's a fundraiser for the child bereavement group, children that have lost family members.
Okay.
And they raise funds for these kids so they can do fun stuff with them. There is talk this year that Mariano Rivera might be there.
Okay.
I was there last year, and Doc Gooden was there, and some old Islanders. Chico Resch was there.
Okay.
So that's going to be March 20th at the Jericho Terrace. Get your tickets.
Okay.
Message me, and I'll get you in touch with my buddy Frank. And also.
Are you planning on attending? Or
I'll be in attendance. I was there last year.
Okay.
And it's a lot of fun. It's great food.
Okay.
Really good guests that they get there. And I got some shows coming up. March 8th, I'll be here in the Giggle Room at Governor's.
Okay.
Mike Keegan and friends. And
great.
I'll be back in there. At March 28th, we're going to be over at the Brokerage. We got a show going on.
Terrific.
Carla's got her self-produced show.
Good.
And just, follow. I put all my dates on Facebook. So
awesome. And Tony, before we go, what do you have coming up?
Thank you very much. Knock 'em Dead Comedy. We got a bunch of dates at that meatball place in Patchogue, and we'll have some dates with Governors that we'll be announcing soon. Knock'emDeadComedy.com. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Love it. All right, guys. It's a little bit over 10 o'clock. We appreciate your support, and we will be back soon. I mean, not like tonight, but I'm sure like next week or something.
We'll be around eventually.
Yeah.
Thank you, Frank Fleming.
Thank you, Frank the Tank. We appreciate it, and have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.